Bryce, welcome to the show. For all the listeners out there, tell me a little bit about yourself for anyone that's not familiar with you.
Yes, so I would say, a professional race car driver. I drive the number 47 late model stock in the Cars Tour. I currently go to college. I just finished my first year of college at two different schools. I go to Elizabethtown Community College and Rowan Cabarrus Community College in North Carolina.
So your career path is a little different. So why do this?
It's the only thing I'm good at. I've
Yeah.
tried the basketball and the baseball and the footballs and stuff like that. And I wasn't the star player. I was the team player. I was there, but not really. You wouldn't see me stand out. I was just at the team and having fun. And in racing, I did the little indoor go-kart track at Full Throttle, which is called now. And I did 3 races there with me and my dad. And my dad beat me my first race. The second race, he didn't pass me. And the third race, I beat him. And the owner of the place come up to me and said, "Where do you race? Because no one's ever gone that fast, that quickly before." And I was like, "Nowhere." And so then I did the leagues there and ended up at late model stock.
So you got your start because you made some kind of record at a random golf cart go kart place.
Pretty much, yeah. So the first year I did the leagues, I won my second ever race there. And I wasn't planning on winning anything. I mean, I was just planning on having fun driving around the go-karts, and I ended up being pretty good at it. And I did 3 or 4 years there in the leagues, and I got the track record for a while.
Wait, so you said 3 or 4 years. So how old were you? Because this
I
sounds
was
pretty young.
probably 9 or 10.
9 or 10, and you set a record for. Wow, that's actually pretty cool, man.
So they did 2 iterations of the track, and I had the record on both of them for a while.
And so that's how you started. So when was the first time you did a race, kind of like what you're doing now?
I was probably so the late model stocks. I was probably 2 years ago, about six, no, 16 years old, about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I did at Hickory Motor Speedway, just go there, see how I can drive. And we tested there a bunch before we even decided to race, and we got good there. And we just did a couple races, and then we did the Southeast Tour the next year.
And how does that work? How there's a couple things that come in. Like one is how do you practice, and then two, behind the scenes, there's a team, right? How does the team support you?
So in practice, you can, since it's at such a low level, and you can go to all these local tracks, you can rent the track for a day or 2 days or how many days you want to go there, and you can stay there all day and practice. And so the team will, back behind the scenes with the team, with the team I was with during the Hickory races and all the first couple of years, I would help out, and I was pretty much building the car and setting it up and knowing if we change this, it'll change something else. And so I got to really know the intricacies of the car, and it was really helped me out because I'm not the arrive and sit behind and just let everybody else work on something. I kind of like to help out.
What's kind of a what's an example of that? Because I'm actually just curious now.
So I did a practice on Friday at Caraway Speedway, and my forward team owner, I was just testing a car for him because someone else was gonna come drive it. I was gonna teach him a little bit, and I did my first run out there, and we were wanting to change something, and so we called him, and we said the exact same words that we wanted to change the exact same thing.
Mm.
So it's kind of like I've learned from him and going out and racing these big races, and now I kind of come back and see how we've say the exact same thing, and it's kind of like funny. Like
Mm.
I spent 5 or 6 years with him before that, and we kind of became brothers almost. So
And what are some of these things? Like, is it tuning the engine, the body, the suspension?
so we it's a spring rate, so we were wanting to put a stiffer spring in it. So when you hit the brakes, like in your road car, you hit the brakes and the front end kind of dips down, your rear end picks up. What was happening is on the right front tire, it was dipping down lower than the left front, so it was kind of putting the car in a weird position where it was all 4 tires weren't on the ground stable enough. It's putting more weight on one corner, and it was making the car feel weird.
Yeah, so you noticed that, or is it like there's like certain data points on there? Like how do you know that?
So there is what we call data acquisition. You can put that on there, and we can get like throttle position and steering angle. So you can put your steering angle in tune with the throttle position and be like, well, you're not tight, you're a little bit loose because your throttle position says this, but it's also mainly just feel. I mean, you just got to do it enough to where you can tell this is what the car's doing, and there's only 3 results if you make a change, same, better, or worse.
So how many races have you done now?
In a late model stock, I would say 25.
25?
Yeah.
And you mentioned you had it sounds like you made some friends and sounds like you compete with them. So what's a race that was very, very tough that you overcome? Or who's some rivals that you think are people you wanna compete against?
Definitely one of my good friends is Ronnie Bassett Jr. He's back last year. It wouldn't be like we would practice and all that. We'd be different times, like 15th and 10th maybe, but it would never fail. We would all qualify right next to each other. It would never fail. It would be, if I qualified first, he'd qualify second. It would never fail. So we kind of learned we were good friends, but then we kind of had to go race each other on the racetrack. And me and him would definitely race each other a lot cleaner than most people because he's a family-owned team. He owns his own stuff, and I don't want to wreck something and make somebody else pay for something or have to fix a race car. So we kind of had the same mindset in racing, and it's kind of just it was nice to race against him because you knew you were going to tear something up. But then some people are just different racing. So
A little bit of a similar background and values.
yeah, it was like he's been in the Xfinity series before, so he owned his own Xfinity team, and he kind of knew what he was racing like up there before, so he kind of brought that back down, and now he's doing pretty well in the car series.
So what's a tough event that you were like, oh yeah, this is I got a lot to learn from this.
Probably the first car series race I was at, because it was like, so we practiced on a Thursday. We were really, really fast on Thursday. Like there was one car faster than us. On Friday, everybody showed up. That was the open test day for the series on Friday, and we were first. I mean, nobody was faster than us. And then on Friday, here come a random hailstorm out of nowhere, and the track cooled at probably 30 degrees, and the air temp dropped 20, and we went from first to 15th. We just kept changing things, and it didn't help.
Oh wow, so the weather had a pretty big impact.
It was like, and I didn't really have the experience of like, well, the weather's going to do this, so we need to change this. And we went from maybe we thought we were going to get a win to qualifying 20th and finishing around the 20th. It's just wild how it's like.
So how many adjustments then would you typically make? Like, do you make live adjustments on a race?
So during the race, you don't want to be making adjustments during the race because we don't have live pit stops. So we'll do 125 laps, but we won't come into the pits.
Okay.
I mean, if you have got damage, you can come in and then you can make an adjustment, but we don't want to make an adjustment.
Okay.
But during the practices, I would say there's probably hundreds of different ways to equal 2, if you're going to add 2 and 2 together.
Right.
It's like there's 100 different ways to equal what you want to equal.
And what's the most frequent adjustments you make?
Right now, what we're making is some shock and spring packages. We're just trying to get the car to stay lower to the ground in the corners and try to get the front nose to stay pretty much touching the pavement.
And what are we thinking of in terms of time, like milliseconds, quarter?
So I qualified at Hickory Motor Speedway. I qualified .011 off the pole, and I was 5th.
Mm.
So
it's a major impact.
I mean, there was one race last year I qualified 16th, and I finished 6th in the race. But if I would have gained a 10th, I would have went to 2nd. I mean, it's 2 tenths would have separated 1st to 30th.
So of all the adjustments, what's the ones you want to spend more time on now?
Definitely the shock and spring package, because that's just so. I mean, we changed rear shocks one time. We gained 0.3 of a second. It's just slowing down because we wanted to slow down the compression of the shocks. Mm-hmm. We just changed shocks, and it was insane how much time you could find in just 2 shocks.
Right.
It was like, and then tires are definitely a big thing. Okay. Because we have different barcodes of tires. Every tire is not made the same. So we got to measure the circumference of the tire, and you get 84 and an 81 and an 82 and an 83 tire, and you got to put them all in the right spots.
Yeah, because you can't necessarily just change it during the race or before the race, right? Or do you have some extra
So
tires?
we qualify on new tires and race on the qualifying tires. So we start with new tires.
So how many tires do you go through a week?
We're allowed to buy 8, but we'll probably go some sometimes we'll save a set from the previous weekend
Right.
instead of because sometimes what we like to do in practice is do like a mock qualifying set and try to go as fast as we can and see what
Right.
our qualifying pace will be. But sometimes if we feel like we're good enough, we won't do that. Just to save a set for next week.
Okay. So is it 8 for the races for the whole season, or is it per race?
So per race, we'll get 1 practice set, 1 race set. So we'll get 8 tires per race.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
some races, if it's like a really worn out track, we'll get 2 extras or a couple extra.
Okay. I'm assuming there's like a time penalty if you use more or something like that, or you're just not allowed.
So you're only allowed to put on an extra tire if you get a flat tire. And then if you take off the tire, you got to prove to an official that it's got a hole in it. So you can't just drill a hole in the tire and change it if you want to.
Right.
You got to prove.
Right. Okay. So you figured out you wanted to do racing. Now you've done some practice and now you're racing. So let's kind of dive a little bit into the race itself. It's a unique experience. Let's put it that way. So walk me through kind of the like game day. Let's call it like day of like what's happening, what's going on.
So the day of the race, we usually have 2 practices. And so sometimes in the first practice, we'll just get our base set up for the day. What is the track doing? What is the car feeling like? And we'll maybe make 1 or 2 adjustments because it's only 20 minutes. So you can't really make major adjustments. And then the second practice, we'll put on new tires and we'll go and wait till the track is clear, make our quick run and see where we end up. And then we'll look after the practices are over, we'll look at the times and say, well, because my dad is pretty good at telling me, I've looked at everybody's times for the mock qualifying run. You'll probably qualify around 5th, and he usually is pretty close to right. And so he usually comes and tells me, well, you're going to probably qualify 10th, 5th, around in there. And that gives me a target to shoot for. Well, I'm going to shoot for 4th then. If he says 5th. And then so after that, we'll go to tech line and we'll have to do a pre-qualifying tech.
Okay.
So they'll weigh the car and then put some templates on there and make sure the body's right.
Yeah, and I'll say the experience is very interesting as a group to watch as an audience, because you got the sound, you got the smell of all the gasoline everywhere. It's a very unique experience. Um, Also during the race, it's not just you racing; it's you with someone talking to you, right? Whether it's a coach or an engineer with you. How does that help you on the races?
Yeah, so it's a spotter, and for me, I like the spotter to constantly talk. I want to know every bit of information. So the spotter last year I had was Lloyd Gardner, and he is probably one of the best spotters I've ever had. Him and probably Nacho is probably the best spotter I've had.
Yeah.
And so they just tell me, well, the car behind you is catching you, but you need to put your car in a different position, and then you'll gain the speed that they got. And it's pretty much they drive the car for me. They tell me where to put the car, what line to choose, and then I drive the line. And so to win a car street race now, you pretty much the spotter drives the car, pretty close to it. Is what I think.
So you really need to know them pretty well, and then
You need to trust them very well.
you trust.
Because a couple of years ago, I had a crew member as a spotter, and he really wasn't like a professional spotter. And I sometimes had to double check in my mirrors. I really couldn't say if he said I was clear. You did have to double check and make sure you were clear. If not, you're gonna get turned and have some damage.
And we're talking like, what you said, a hundredth of a second. So any little thing you do may cost you a little bit of time.
I mean, it's definitely like I probably started third one time and made a little mistake on a restart and didn't get the RPMs right going third to fourth, and I've lost 3 or 4 spots. And then you just can't make that up during the race because everybody's so tight.
Right.
I mean, track position is really big.
What do you love about racing?
Probably winning. I mean, but you don't get to win every time. But probably if you're a driver, probably the most thing I would like about racing is just getting in the car. I mean, that's just where I like to be because every driver says, it slows down when you're going that fast, and truly, it really does. Like I was at North Wilkesboro, and the top speed was about 137, and it really did not feel like that fast.
So do you just get in the zone, and that zone, it's almost like a safe space? Is that why you like it so much, or?
I mean, you're just out there by yourself. You don't have to worry about. I mean, you have to worry about the other drivers, but you don't have to worry about anybody do anything crazy to you during practice or something like that. You can just go out there and make your laps and get in the zone of I need to hit this mark, or I need to hit the brake at this corner mark, or I need to hit the brake at this light pole, because that's where we try to find markers. Is when you hit the brake, is I find a light pole on the next to the track, or like a piece of concrete where it's a different color, and that's where you usually try to find hit the brakes and stuff like that.
So you like winning. What about even before you get into it? Why do you keep doing this? Because it sounds very intense.
It's a little bit intense. It's just knowing that you got a team. I like having to go to the track and knowing that I can work on the cars and stuff like that, and go to a shop and get the car ready, and having a team and perform for the team, and have the team like, because after the practice in this Wilkesboro, we were second and first for the longest time. And the team was super happy, and they were all happy that we're pretty quick, and having them be happy that we're all doing the same thing and working together well. And it's just good for me to see, and good for me to feel like, hey, I'm doing something right.
Mm. So it's almost like a signal, like, okay, here's the group, and then when you go perform, if it's easier, it's like, okay, we as a group did a good job.
Yeah, we were all like, well, we're quicker than him, we're faster than him, we're really probably shouldn't be faster than him, but we're better than he is, and we can not have to go crazy changing the car. We just make some small minor adjustments to try to get the car a little better or something like that.
So how do you know so typically you racing's unique in the sense that it's a team sport and an individual sport, right? So where do you think is the team's contribution, and where do you think it's you?
So I would say the sport is a 70-30 split between the team and the driver. So the team is 70% of it. I mean, the team's got to prepare the car, get the car ready for the track, get the right setup under it, and make sure it drives well. And then the driver just has to pretty much drive the car.
And walk me through the organization of the team. Who does what? How many people are there?
So we have about 5 or 6 people on the team. We'll have a crew chief, which is mainly the guy that I'll talk to on the radio during practice, and he'll make the call for what adjustment to make. And then we'll have the car chief, which is the main head guy that works with the crew chief, but he works on the car as well. And then we'll have 2 or 3 crew members, and then we'll have one tire specialist.
Tire specialist. So why have a tire specialist?
So when every tire is made, they're made with a different barcode. Like, so they'll end up with like a CX3, and then we'll have a DT5 or something like that. We want all the tires to be the same barcode. And then when you measure the air of the tires up, they're all a different circumference on the outside. So we'll have one tire that's an 84 and 5/8, and a different tire that's an 81 and 3/4. So you want the smaller tires in the front, and then you want the bigger tires in the rear.
And are these all guys or gals with this is their full-time job? Do they float different teams? What's kind of the backstory?
So usually the tire specialist, he will work for multiple different teams. Like, he'll do tires for lots of different teams. But this tire specialist, he just does, if we bring 2 cars, to do tires for 2 cars. And then we'll have our team is only works at their full-time job is putting cars together and building cars and making them go fast.
And so, like, whenever you're not racing,
They're
or going,
still they're still working on, because the team that I raced with, they build chassis as well. So they'll build cars while they're getting the race car ready and stuff like that.
so as you're racing around, what's been your favorite track?
My favorite track is probably Either Hickory, I kind of like the old kind of historical place about that, and that's the only track I've won at so far. And then North Wilkesboro, which is they do the All-Star race there, and the trucks will race there, and I was the fastest car there by a lot till it rained.
And so we can pick any of the tracks. I mean, walk me through a situation where it was very intense. You had to maintain your focus. What'd you do?
So one of the more intense parts for me is not actually racing against cars, it's qualifying.
Okay.
Because I'm not the best. I'm okay at qualifying, but qualifying you have to get everything out of the car possible. Like, so my crew chief said, just drive like an idiot for 2 laps, and then we'll race like we need to race like. So I would drive the car sideways. I would hit the gas when I'm not supposed to, just to get all the little tenths of a second of speed out as I can. Whenever I qualified fifth by .001, if the car would have done just a little something different, I would have qualified on the pole. But you got to drive the car such a crazy way, as he calls it, that you just can't let the car do. You got to pretty much drive the car, not let the car drive you.
So it sounds like qualifying is more racing the track and your car versus racing as you're racing the other drivers. Is that
When everything is so close that track position is everything. If you qualify in the top five, you're probably going to stay top 5 to 7 all night because everything is so close. People are just probably not going to pass you. But if you qualify 20th, you got to drive so hard to get close to the top 10 that by the end, your car's got nothing left.
so when you do the actual race, it's more focus on keeping your mistakes low, keeping the pace.
It's some tracks are more worn out than others, and they wear out tires more. So you got to run slower at the beginning.
Okay.
So some cars in the back will run faster in the beginning just to catch up to the front runners. And while we're in the front, we're going to run slower just to keep the tires fresher throughout the race. And at the end, then we can really push the car as hard as we want to.
Remember, we talked about how you got a unique career path. So for these other young adults or 16 or minors, right? What would be your advice for them on your unique path?
Meet everybody you can. I mean, every single person you can in racing because it's such an enclosed sport. You need all the connections you can get. So my former team owner, Josh Williams, he races for Xfinity. And I've been in pretty much every single Xfinity shop. I've been in the Junior Motorsports and the Joe Gibbs and the RCR shops. And I've met everybody there pretty much. So if I get to race there, I've already know those people and I kind of got my foot halfway in the door a little bit, just being with him and kind of meeting everybody I can.
And what's your thoughts on your family supporting you on this?
It's pretty cool that my family gets to, I mean, they're supporting me in such a big way because, I mean, my dad drives a ton of hours. I mean, he's got a 2-year-old truck and it's got 150,000 miles on it so far. He just, my dad and mom, they are probably the people that keep me going. They teach me and steer me in the right ways if we're going to make a team change or a personnel change on the team. And they just give me the advice to be like, well, if you do this, then this will probably happen during, or something else is going to happen. And they've got very technical with it because my mom and dad, they'll tell me, you're going to qualify probably 14th, 15th, and I'll qualify 14th, 15th right in there. So it's like they kind of get me like, where are we at? And they'll tell me, and then I kind of shoot for a little past that to kind of prove them wrong a little bit. But then I pretty much end up where they're going to say. So
Awesome. Well, that's a wonderful story. So you had an opportunity to host some very special guests, and these were some Navy SEALs, some active duty,
yeah, some were active duty, some were currently working in the logistical side. They were active duty, but now logistical, and then some reserved.
How was that? Like, I mean, these are the elite of the elite.
It was definitely so. It was the UDT SEAL Association and the SEAL Veterans Foundation.
Okay.
So what they do is the UDT, they bring the reserve and the active duty together and for like meet and greets and just to have the reserve because, I mean, some people are pretty messed up when they come back from the wars and stuff, and so they need to have some friends that are still active duty just to talk to and stuff. And then the SEAL Veterans Associate, the foundation, they bring the special warfare community. So they bring the people that put together like this tank needs to go here, or this person needs to be here for this mission and stuff like that. So they bring those people together.
Okay. What was a moment that you really enjoyed, or an exciting moment that you experienced with them?
So something that was really cool is the active duty person. I couldn't even learn his name. Like he was
Oh
so
yeah.
far in to the active duty, I couldn't even know it. Like he couldn't even tell us his name, and he couldn't. Since he wasn't in uniform, we could use his face, but if he was in uniform, we couldn't even use his face.
Oh wow.
And he said that everything he's seen and everything he's done, he said this is probably one of the coolest things I've done is come see this race.
Yeah.
Just to say, have him say, because he's probably done some crazy things and probably jumped out of helicopters or something like that. So this is one of the coolest things I've done.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad you were able
It was
to have
pretty
that
cool.
memory with them.
Yeah.
When you were racing that day, when you were hosting these Navy SEALs, I mean, did you get a little boost? You know.
I would say yes. I mean, you definitely want to do good if you got, it's not just mom or dad there, and you got some people that are on your car there, and you got to perform for them. And they said the event was amazing, and I did great, but for me, I didn't do in my standards. I didn't do good enough. I didn't qualify high enough, or I didn't finish high enough. But they said it was great, and we even ate with them afterwards at midnight. Like they just wanted
Oh
to,
wow.
yeah. I mean, they were all in it, and they were having fun, and they wanted me to come stay at their house one time, and I mean, they've like truly become like long lost friends we never had. Like it's really cool what they've done.
So, what does it mean to have some of the names of these guys and gals on your car?
It's really cool because so I've got a Gold Star family that rides with me on every car. I won't pretty much get in the car if his name isn't on it. It's Specialist David Taylor. He built my swing set when I was 5 years old in the backyard, and he passed away when he was 18 in Afghanistan. And so he just in the Gold Star community, they say a person dies twice when they pass away, and then once when their name is forgotten.
Mhm.
So I just want to not let his name be forgotten and put other people in the car if I can and stuff like that.
So you kind of have a, a something that you really enjoy, right? And it's almost like you got a platform for these individuals. So how can you? Is there things that you're viewing on the platform on? Hey, this is something that's important to me.
Yeah, it's always been important to me to just support the veterans and say, because I mean, not everybody thinks of, well, these people are pretty messed up when they come back. I mean, some people, I mean, not everybody, but some people are pretty messed up. And so they got to be able to find places where they can go make friends and have community and just for have my rate to be if my race is one of those places that someone finds a great friend and community, then I'm happy to do that and be that person that puts that person in place so they can find their person.
Right, because they don't really talk about that very much on the afterwards,
Mm.
and this is a way you want to support them on it.
Yeah, I just want to be the person that connects them and keeps them looking forward to the next day and saying, "Oh, well, I got to be able to go see this race. So let me go come with this foundation and learn what it's all about and make
Mhm.
some friends and then go and see a race and if meet the driver and stuff like that."
So how does that has that influenced you a little bit on your race or your perspective?
It's definitely changed it a bit, just knowing that the guy that's done and jumped out of helicopters and those guys think that it's cool that I race. It's like I never seen thought of them saying it was cool and stuff like that. And one thing I'm going to do is they've invited me to take my car on a naval base where they have a demonstration. So that's the meeting of the outgoing and the incoming. And so they on the beach next to the naval base, they do demonstrations.
Oh
So
wow,
they'll jump out of helicopters and blow up some stuff and blow up the beach and stuff like that.
yeah, that'd be a really neat experience. On the on the Navy SEAL event, I mean, how did it get How did it get started?
So we got in contact with Mr. Galrine that runs Galrine Farms,
Okay.
and I took my car out there for an event that the Navy SEALs were doing, and he just said, "We're doing this event for the Navy SEALs. Come out. We bring your car. Your car is an Americana theme." And while we were there, we got in touch with the people that run the foundation and stuff. And so they said, "Well, we would like to bring a couple of our Navy SEALs out to one of your races." And so we did that, and it went very well.
Okay. And we host these what we call the industrial kiln and dryer universities, or IKDUs. So one of the things we do in every event is to honor a veteran in some way. And the way we do it is we have a customer that can be a veteran, or their spouses or their family, or one of our own employees. And we take the names and put them on the car. So what does that mean for you? And walk me through where that's placed and how that looks.
So the employee name will be put right under, because the series has a banner right on top of the windshield, and we'll put that name right under the banner.
Mm.
And the employee name is actually pretty cool because I get to meet the person that's actually working for the company, and then after the race, during the next IKDU, they'll come like, "How did my name do, and how did we do?" And so some of them are better than others. And then the customer name is pretty cool because that person probably would have never got recognized in that way if they didn't put their name in and get drawn out. And so they get to just get their name said again if they needed to have somebody remember them.
Mm. So a few more items here. So one is with supporting the veterans. If someone wants to support the veterans as a young person or anybody, what would be some advice for them?
So specifically in the Gold Star field, some advice what I would do is probably go find either. So what I do every year is the Wreaths Across America. Is the foundation that they do is we go to the cemeteries and lay wreaths on every grave, and we say their name and put the wreaths on there. So just find a foundation that you like and just go help them out or do volunteer work, or even the best one I like to do is probably the Wreaths Across America, because you get to go to the cemetery and say their name again and just remember them in that way.
So so our companies our affiliated companies are very proud of you on what you've been able to achieve. And I think this event with the Navy SEALs is also a wonderful experience. So how does all of the different components, because there's a little bit of it that's commercial and a little bit of it that's volunteer or ways to contribute to the community. So there's a lot of intersections, right? And what you're in a unique position that you're kind of the intersection. So how do you feel about that?
It's definitely pretty cool. I mean, I couldn't be in the position I'm at without with Mr. Lush and all what he's done for me. Because whenever he started sponsoring, I just got my first win in the late models and just getting up, and that's probably gonna be my last race for the year. Is when he just started sponsoring, and it was gonna be that we just put all the funds where we did, and we were gonna go as far as we can go, and that was it.
Mm.
And then he come in and did what he did, and it's just put me in a position to where I can go race, and knowing that I've got people I need to perform for, and I've always wanted to perform well for him and put him in a good light, and all the companies that he's allowed to sponsor me.
Yeah, and great job on representing. The kind of the next items will be kind of what's next?
Okay, so what next will be is probably, hopefully, either the trucks or the Xfinity cars.
Okay.
So right now I've got Mario Goslin racing, the DGM racing. If I had the funding to go race a full Xfinity season right now, he'd let me. I mean, he's come and seen me race a legend car race before,
Okay.
and I made one move, and he stood up and was like amazed at one move I did,
Yeah.
and I was pretty close to winning the race. And he's like, "Whenever you're ready to go for Xfinity racing, you can come race for me."
And that's with the trucks?
With the Xfinity cars, yes. So
Okay.
it's the step under the Cup Series.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's cool. So So what's kind of your game plan? Your first year in college, you kind of keep continuing on your college.
I do definitely want to finish the college degree and career because I'm going to do the motorsports engineering program.
Motorsports engineering.
Yes. So, I mean, there's 120 seats in NASCAR, Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series.
Right.
And hopefully I'm in one of those seats for 30, 40 years, hopefully. But if I can't be, I got to have a backup plan to fall back up on. So
Right. You still want to be affiliated with it.
I definitely do want to be a crew chief one day if I can't be a driver. And most crew chiefs now were drivers at some point. So it's just having the backup. I mean, I do definitely want to drive the car and want to be in the driver's seat, but if I can, I gotta hopefully want to be a crew chief someday. And
Wow. Yeah, that's exciting. Any particular races that you're looking forward to next year, this year?
so hopefully this year we're gonna do a race at Martinsville Speedway where the cup cars and stuff they go to. The trophy is a grandfather clock. And
Oh,
I've always wanted that trophy because you could, I mean, it's just this big clock that's got the race on it and stuff like that.
right, right.
And I've always wanted that trophy because there's no other trophy like it. Like the trophy at Kentucky Speedway when it was still open, it was a jukebox. And so people got a jukebox when they won. So I just kind of
Oh,
want
that's pretty cool.
instead of a trophy, you get a clock.
I rather get a clock. I think those would be kind of
Yeah,
neat.
I mean,
Is it pretty antique?
it's specially made for that race. Every single one of those is specially made for the winner of that race. And it's still made from the same company that was like built in like 1800 something like that.
Well, Bryce, thank you for your time. I mean, overall, I think that it's been really cool listening to all the details. So, any particular remarks, any closing remarks for the audience?
I just want to thank you for having me out here. And hopefully this podcast does well.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.